So, Chinese government would actually be a surveillance state. How I know this is because China has mandatory fishnet policy, which means they are actually part of a group rather than a country. So the way they group themselves is called the caste system. And the Chinese the Chinese caste system is much different than the Indian caste system. So the Chinese caste system has a family unit to it, which means the family always owns the possessions. And this is how they share their money with other families, is by allowing the family to allow for payment rather than paying altogether. So usually this is a credit-based system that they pay into, which is how the Americans and Europeans do it. They pay from family shares to buy stock and yield. However, in China, stock and yield is owned by the government, which means the family pays out of pocket rather than out of tuition. So if they pay out of pocket, not only do some people go broke quicker, some people have the ability to rob, which means they have a net worth of other people that allows for the government to have no seizing of assets. And this is done by power. So when we talk about them having no tuition payments for the government, it means they already have the ability to have net worth on the local level. So this is the local asset bubble breaching the lower class. So if a lower class is allowed into the ethnicity of a sphere, not only does this ethnicity determine whether or not they are part of a family, this family is shared on the group level by the people closest to them. So if they pay for them, not only are they paying for the entirety of the net worth, they're paying for the group share of the entire society. And this is how distribution works in their society, is by allowing for seizing of double bonded shares of assets. And this is also how India is a network-based society there. So since India controls language for a lot of cultures, India would be a multi-ethnic society on the level that they have Chinese caste mastered. So not only does India share Chinese bondage, it shares the language barrier between them that doesn't just allow for, but determines whether or not China is a medieval or a New Age society in Western terms and in Eastern terms. So, if a network is given to a Middle Eastern or DeFranco faction of government, not only does the sharing of a group ethic allow for easier income to be made in India, this income in India is a transferable rate, which means it is a ethnic trade of the ability to manifest spirituality. So these rates were actually coded from ethnic bondage. So since ethnic bondage was sacrificial in their culture, not only do they allow for multiculturalism on a higher speed, they changed their wealth gap to allow for continuation of series. So since they continue their entire bloodline this way, which is how China does it in their culture, there is a grouping of medieval society that does not just miniaturize, but also polarizes the poor back into poverty. So this is how castes are made in India, is by the multiplexes allowing for different types and different responsibilities of people. So this is a pole axis. So since one axis is in control of their society, not only does the derivative of that axis have exchange value, this exchange value is miniaturized on the level that they do not have containment of this exchange value. They work for that exchange value, which means they're bottom feeders. So this is also how the new age of their society operates. They bottom feed off all of the bottom feeders. So since starting off as a bottom feeder is very difficult, that's how New Age forms. There's also the Chinese that believe that bottom feeding is an illegal act. Because they do not interfere with the bottom feeders, they are actually predators. And they're seen as such by most of the world in our world. They're actually viewed as a ethnic chieftain. So if these chieftains rule from below, not only do they on high say that I get the freedom to originate the cultural new age, this new age would be a practice of method rather than science. So since science and economics are so closely entangled in this society, not only does the cotton here have such fabric value that it enriches most of the citizenry, this boiling over effect of the parasites of their society enchants them into believing things that aren't real. They truly believe that they are one society, and they truly believe that people have shared values. So this is how networking in China has always ruled the India. Because this networking value in China, they are very fast at adapting their culture to repression. And they continue this repression because they have the language border mixed up. So the only way they can fight back is allowing for the democratization of fish netting and allowing for the agriculturalization of other societies to bend to a academic calendar. So the academic calendar here would actually be whether or not the families are on time for the repression of other societies. And this is how that fishnet occurs, is by allowing for differentials of parasites to meet cotton at its face value which would be to determine weight of the stock and yield of other societies' medieval structures, such as the derivation of religion.